Hello, friends. In the series of learning computer organization and design, today we are going to discuss about pipelining. So, what is pipelining and what is the benefit of working with pipelining in the computer organization and design? So, in this session, we are going to learn in detail about these aspects. So basically, if I taught you the basic definition, the technical definition of pipelining, then it is a technique actually. It is a technique of decomposing a sequential process. So the basic aspect is the process is going in a sequential manner. And what we are doing, we are decomposing this sequential process into sub operations. Now, how we are decomposing it means one task is there, that one task is being subdivided into number of tasks. Okay, and with each sub process being executed in a special dedicated segment. So, once we are dividing or decomposing one task into the different sub operations, we are naming them as the segments like S1, S2, S3, and S4 that operates concurrently with all the other segments. So, how we are working? All these segments will work together. Okay, and what will happen once this segment 1 is completed with its designated task, then the segment 2 will start operating, and then segment 3 will start operate, and 4. This is for the first process, that it will happen in a sequential manner. But as soon as the second task will arrive, okay, so what will happen? Once the segment 1 is completed with the task 1, it will move this particular task 1 into the second stage or the second segment, and the task two's first segment will start. I will briefly explain you this concept with one real time example, you could say. Let's take one real example. It is actually a journal example because later in this session we will take some technical examples too. Okay, so let us suppose there is a factory who is working for filling up of the water bottles. Okay, so in order to fill up the water bottles and in order to save these bottles, what will happen? There will be basically the tasks like the water bottle is to be inserted into the plant, inserting the bottles. Let us suppose this is what the point is. Okay, and after inserting the bottle, now we need to fill the water, filling water into the bottles. This could be the second step that they want to do, right? And third is for sealing the bottle. So now, after filling the water, we need to fill the bottle now. So basically, these are the three, let us suppose, the basic steps that the factory is performing in order to fill up the water bottles and in order to sell it in the public, right? So this is the one task that we need to fill up the water bottles. So in the end product will be we are getting this water bottle. But in order to perform this task, how we can do? We can, in a conventional manner, I am talking about, without you could say that the pipelining. First bottle came, okay. Let us suppose it takes 1 minute in the stage one to fill up the bottle, to insert the bottle, right? Then in the stage two, after inserting that particular bottle, I am talking about one bottle only right now. This bottle will be taken and will be filled up. Let's suppose it takes another 1 minute to fill up that bottle, and then it will perform the third stage when I will perform the sealing. Okay, again, the sealing is taking the 1 minute. So in total, how much time it takes to fill up the one bottle? 3 minutes. Similarly, if I have to perform this with the three bottles, so definitely it is going to consume total 9 minutes for fill up the bottles. So this is a conventional step that how we will perform the things. Now, what is happening in case of pipelining process? I have segments, right? There are three segments been there: segment number one, segment number two, and segment number three. Okay, so what will happen when the first clock pulse will arrive? The first bottle will be injected in the timing signal 1. The bottle is injected here, right? Now this bottle will step to the stage number 2 in the next coming clock cycle. Then the in the next clock cycle, the timing signal, the bottle will be injected into this particular stage number 3. Okay, so this is actually happening here. But what is going to happen here? See, with each sub process being executed in a special designated segment. So this was the first segment, this was the second designated segment. Only the segment 1 can only proceed to the segment 2 if it is done. If it is not done with the task, it will not proceed it to the another segments. Okay, that operates concurrently with all the other segments. Now we are talking that it is concurrently operating. It means that once the first bottle has completed the segment number 1, so what happened? We have introduced the new bottle, the second bottle. So how this second bottle will done? Once it is stepped into this particular stage number 2, once the second clock pulse arrives, so it will inject into the segment number 1, because the segment 1 is free now with the first the done by doing the job of the first bottle, right? Now it will proceed with the segment number 2. So once the segment 2 is done, so in the next clock cycle, the second bottle will inject into the stage 2, right? And in the timing signal 4, it will be injected into this particular stage, right? Similarly, the next particular, you could say that this is happening in the T4 clock cycle. When the third clock bottle will arrive, what will happen? The T3 T2, this segment number 1 is idle here, so it will introduce the segment number 3, right? So here the third bottle is been arrived here in the first segment. In the second segment, the third bottle will arrive here, right? And in the T5, the third bottle will arrive. So in total 5 clock cycles, right? I would be able to compete with the 3 bottles. So it will require only 5 minutes to work with the 3 bottles, to fill up the 3 bottles when we are using the pipelining process. So you can see, basically the process is, we are decomposing the task, we are doing it in a sequential manner only. Once this first job is done, only then it will proceed to the segment number 2, and only then it will proceed to the segment number 3. Okay, but how we are doing it? In a concurrent manner. Once the first segment is finished, we are injecting the another bottle, or the another product is been introduced into that segment. So this is what is the sole purpose behind understanding the concept of pipelining. Basically, we are using it to reduce the excess time, to reduce the throughput rate, okay, to enhance the throughput rate of the machine. All right, so let's now proceed ahead with understanding the basic characteristics that the pipelining process is consisting of. So pipelining, as I said, there are several computations can be in progress in the distinct segment at the same time. So this is what we were learning. At the same time, we were having different tasks being done in different segments, right? So this is what the point is in case of the pipelining process, right? The next characteristic is, each segment performs partial processing dictated by the way the task is done. So definitely what is happening in the segment number 1, it is having a predefined job, okay, a specific job to just inject the bottles. Then segment number 2 is having the predefined task to inject the, to just fill up the water bottle, and the segment number 3 is having a predefined task that it will simply do the sealing of the bottles, right? So that second characteristic is done. Now the result obtained from the computation in each segment is transferred to the next segment to the pipeline. So definitely only when the segment 1 is done with its job, only then it will proceed with the second segment, and then it will be forwarded ahead for the next segments. So the final result obtained after the data has been passed through all the segments. So ultimately, in the end, we will be getting the final output of the process. So this is what exactly is the process of the pipelining and the basic characteristics. Now we are going to understand about the pipelining process. So basically, if I say the pipelining can be used in the arithmetic operations, okay, as well as in the instructions. So basically, these are, you could say that, the types of the pipelining process: arithmetic pipelining and the instruction pipelining. So the simplest way to understand the pipeline is to imagine that each segment consists of an input resistor. This is an important aspect. I will explain this entire theory with the example which I have demonstrated here. Okay. Followed by a combinational circuit. The output combinational circuit in a segment is applied to the input resistor of the next segment. So what exactly they are saying here? After the each segment, like let's suppose this is the arithmetic operation that we want to perform. A1 AI multiplied with BI plus CI, right? So we have segmented this particular task in number of segments. Like in the first segment, only the loading of data will take place. So definitely the output of this segment will be placed in the resistors. The data will be placed in the resistors, right? So we will be having input resistor, we will be having the output resistor. Got it? So this AI is going to be stored in the R1 resistor, BI is to be stored in the R2 resistor. So just loading the data is being performed here in the segment number one. So what will happen after that? After I have loaded these two variables, now I have to perform the arithmetic operation. So arithmetic here is the multiplication only. So in the ALU, we will be performing the multiplier in the segment number 2. I will multiply these two values and its resultant. The output is to be stored here in the another resistor. Okay. And in the meantime, now what I have to do, I have also to load the data of this C in the resistor here. Okay. So this is been parallelly loaded here. So segment 2 is performing a predefined job. Similarly, segment 3 is performing the addition of these two inputs which are available in R3 and R4, and ultimately here we are going to get the final result. So if the same task is to be performed for 1, 2, 3, 4, so on up to 7, right? So every task is performed in the form of segments. As soon as for I is equals to 1, has been done for the segment number 1 and it has proceeded for segment number 2, the I for is equals to 2 operation will start, and this loop will go until I is equals to 7, as the property is signifying here. So this is what exactly is the process of performing the pipelining process. So here in the tabular form also it has been described. First of all, in the first stage or the first segment, we have simply loaded the data. And in the second segment, we have multiplied, performed the multiplication as well as loaded the data in the new resistor. And in the end, what we did, we simply performed the addition and the resultant is stored in the R5 resistor. Okay. So this is another way of representing the same thing which I was demonstrating you. So basically one point which we need to understand here is that the clock is one only. There is only one clock which is performing the entire operation. But only the pulses are changed. The clock pulses are being performed here. For the same clock, the different pulses might be there. Okay. So here the segment 1 is there performing the R1, R2. Once these are done, it will move to the segment number 2 to perform the operation of multiplication of variables and loading the another data. As soon as this has been placed here, so in the next clock pulse, A2 and B2 will be loaded. Okay, because we have to perform this operation till I is equals to 7. So this is ultimately is the press. So in total, in the 9 clock pulses, we will be able to compute the entire arithmetic operation for I is equals to 1 to I equals to 7. So this is what the point is. So basically how we are designing the pipeline. So in the pipeline processor, basically there are two things, there are two ends. One is the input end, okay, from where we are going to get and start with the stage number 1, and the another one is there, the output end, where we will get the final result. So two ends are always been allocated to the pipeline, and between these ends what we are having these stages, right? And one stage is connected to the another stage. Definitely we are I think it is very understandable concept now. Now next is interface resistors are used to hold the intermediate outputs. Okay, so what is happening when we are storing the intermediary results like these data? Okay, so we are using them for we are calling this process as a latch or a buffer. So these are actually been stored in the interface resistors, and which we are calling them as the latches or the buffers. So all the stages along with the interface resistors are controlled by a common clock. So this is what I was talking about. Clock will remain common for performing all the processes. Okay, the only we are counting the process execution in terms of clock pulses. Like how many clock pulses are required within that particular clock to perform the entire execution of the operation. So this is what the point was. Moving ahead, so this is actually the stages of the pipelining when we are considering it under the instruction based pipelining. As I said earlier, two types are there, arithmetic pipeline and the instruction pipeline. Okay, so here what will happen in case of instruction pipeline? We have taken one example, which is the RISC instruction set. RISC, we are already aware, it is a reduced instruction set computing. Okay, so this is a mechanism how we are able to execute the instructions. So here what will happen, so basically there are five stages how the instructions will execute in RISC. The stage 1 will be the fetching stage. We will be fetching the data, right? Then we will be decoding the data, executing the data, memory accessing, and last is the updating the data or write back. So how it will perform? Once in the stage 1, the timing signal 1, the first task will be done. In the stage 2, it will go to the next task. So in the meanwhile, second process will also instruction will also start its execution in this way. Mean, as I was explaining you in the previous slides like this, so the data is going to be happen. First of all, fetching will done in the segment number 1. Once the fetching part is done, okay, then it will go to the next segment to decode the data, then to the next segment to execute the data for the instruction number 1. As soon as fetching is done here in the second clockwise, second fetching of the instruction will done. Okay, and once it is done, the third instruction fetch phase will start, and then moving ahead, second decoding will start and third decoding will start in the meanwhile. So this is exactly the number of stages are there to design the pipeline. Okay, to work with the pipeline process in case of instruction pipelining. Then this is again the general terminology, the same one which we have already studied. So basically the output of segment 1 is going to be stored in the resistors. And this is now becoming the input to the segment number 2, right? And the segment 2 is generating the output as the resistor number 2. For the segment number 3, resistor 2 is the input resistor, and this is R3 is the output resistor. Same is for the segment number 4. So this is the entire time space diagram, you could say. Uh, these are the number of clock pulses, these are the segments. So T1, once the T1 is done, it will move to the another clock cycle, right? Another segment, you could say, and then it will done with another segment, and so on and so forth. Depending upon how many segments are present and how many times are required, time clock signals are required to execute that particular instruction in that segment, we will be computing the final speed up. So lastly, now we are going to compute that how we are able to gain the output. So means the how we are able to generate the speed up in case of pipeline. So this is basically been done by understanding one numerical here. So the point is, let's suppose n is the number of tasks performed. These are the total number of tasks. And in the conventional method, when it is non-pipelined, okay, so what will happen? Let us suppose Tn is the clock cycle time to complete each task, and T1 is the time required to complete the n task. So definitely, because it is conventional, one by one it will move ahead in total, then we can get the time. So depending upon the time required to complete the tasks, as well as depending upon the clock cycle time, as well as the number of time of tasks to be performed, we are able to generate the total time required to complete the n tasks. Okay, so if in a simple example, if there are total number of tasks are equals to, let us suppose, 5, and the time or the clock cycle required, means the tn value, to complete each task is, let's suppose, 2 minutes, then the total time required to complete the 5 tasks will be 5 multiplied by 2. As simple as it is. So total 10 minutes would be required to compute the task. But if we are considering the pipelining process, which is consisting of, let us suppose, some number of stages, the stages are, let us suppose, 6. Okay, then how much time it will require? Simply depending upon the clock time, means time to complete the sub operation within each segment, and then time required to complete the n tasks. This is the formula from where we are going to get is the total time required to complete n tasks. So it will be k plus n minus 1 into the clock cycle time. So why we are actually looking for these two things? Because we have to figure out the speed up. So speed up will be conventional over the pipeline. So this is going to give me the value of the speed up, that how much speed up has been done within the execution of the task. Okay. So then if we are going to just moving a little bit more advanced, if the value of number of tasks to be performed is very large, then the number of stages available, then what we will do, this k plus n minus 1, we can easily say we can simply neglect this value and can say it is directly approaches to n, means this value will become equals to n. It is a special case, you could say. So what will happen here? The speed up value will now become equals to Tn over Tp, because before it was n into Tn. This was ntn over n plus, k plus n minus 1 into Tp, right? So if this value is very large, the n number of jobs to be performed is very large, we are saying this will become approximately equals to n. So it will be cutted down, so total Tn over Tp will left. Okay, and if we consider that time taken to complete a task is same in both the circuits, for both the time is actually same, then what will happen? We will only left with the k. So it will be making like tn is approximately becoming equals to number of stages into the p. Okay, because tp was the time required to execute the each stage. So this will be the total time required. So filling up the value of Tn, which is now equals to k into Tp divided by Tn. So what we are going to have is, we will get the value equals to k. Got it? So it should be Tp here, so that it should be cancelled, and then we'll get k. So means maximum theoretical speed up pipeline can provide is k. This is the maximum value, which the speed up value, you could say, which the pipeline can provide to us. So again, I'm repeating the things. So this is just the advanced version, how we are just manipulating the speed up by considering certain values. So if the value of n is very large, then we can say this k plus n minus 1 is approaching to n. we can consider that it is approximately equals to n only, then we will get this result. And if we are considering, this is the second case, if we consider that time taken is equal in both the cases, then we can consider the value of Tn is equals to k times Tp. So by putting the value, we are getting the value equals to n. So this is the entirely about the information about the pipelining process. I hope that you are able to understand this session, students. Thank you so much for watching this session.